Good morning. This is Professor1970 coming at you. Today is September 26, 2022. I'm finally doing another YouTube video. I haven't done one in a while, so we'll see how this goes. This is at the request of many of you, some of you who are brand new. I want to try to keep it as simple as possible. I want to go over on how I set up the Ichimoku cloud and how I use it and how I draw the lines and what they mean and so forth. For those of you who have followed me for a while, you know how extremely accurate these lines are. For those that are new, I do not use the Ichimoku cloud as you see on the internet. I don't use a lot of the lines, a lot of the leading indicators. I simply use the cloud and draw lines that are support and resist, that turn out to be support and resistance. To kind of go over the cloud real quick, the cloud is basically comprised of a whole bunch of technical indicators that show support and resistance levels, as well as momentum and trend direction. It's made up of all kinds of moving averages. And what it does is it's a 26 moving average, a 15-day moving average, a 9-day moving average. It takes all of those moving averages and comes up with a formula and projects it into the future based upon whatever chart you may be on. I suggest instead of me wasting time on this video trying to show you exactly what it is, you can just go to Investopedia and just read up what is the cloud. But again, I don't use it in its natural the way it's meant to be, the way it was designed to be. I use it a little bit different. I want to go over that. Okay, so first things first, I use TC2000. I think it's one of the best and easiest charting softwares out there, at least that I've experienced. The unfortunate thing is with TC2000, it does not trade ES or MES futures, so I can't chart in that. So I chart in SPY, and I use Ameritrade to place my trades. And, you know, I do a high amount of volume, so I don't pay the fees that are, you know, typically normal in regards to that. But I just wanted to give you that breakdown. And typically a 1-point move in the SPY is equal to 10 points on ES, roughly. So right here, I'm going to show you what my settings are in TC2000. You can kind of follow this for whatever software you may use. But what I do is I go into @plot on TC2000. I type in Ichimoku. Where is it? Actually, I'm going to just type in cloud. There it is. Ichimoku cloud. Okay. And all these lines show up. Well, this can be very, very confusing. So what I do here is I go into the Ichimoku cloud right here. I go into edit and I get rid of all these lines, the conversion line, the baseline, the lagging line, the leading line. And you can see it starts cleaning up my chart where I am just left with a cloud. I turn my cloud green. Like this, just for a visual. And that's it. That's how I set up my cloud. So I get rid of all the lines, and here is your cloud. Now, right here, you can actually go in and set a percentage of how far the cloud projects out in the future. I just leave it on whatever it comes on, 25%. Different softwares are going to be different, but this is how mine looks. So just click done, and here I have it. I'm showing you a quick weekly chart because if you look right here, this is April 29th, 2022. You can, maybe I can zoom in right here. Zoom to select it. Right here is the April 29th weekly chart. This was the first time that the cloud had actually penetrated into the weekly cloud since here, which was basically 2020, March of 2020, and then it did it again in October 16, 2018, and you can go all the way back to 2016, 2008, and so forth. So over 10 years, if you look at a weekly cloud, right here, right here, right here, the cloud has penetrated through the weekly cloud. So when this candle started happening here, I started watching. I was waiting. I knew it would kind of jump back up, but when it entered here, I can't remember what the headline was at the time. I said, guys, start shorting. We were pretty close. I mean, we were about 40 points off a high at that point. But I said we are going to go to this level right here, 409.26, which at the time was about a 25-point move. I've been bearish basically since this time. Obviously, for those who have followed me, we've been calling, we've been dead on projections. Not winning every trade, of course, but we've been pretty accurate. My mental game sometimes gets in my own way. But other than that, you can see we penetrated through the cloud. We jumped back up and tested the low of this weekly cloud. Then we jumped way down here, which were the June lows. Jumped back up to the top of the weekly cloud, and now we are testing those June lows again. So, okay, great. So what does that mean? I don't see any lines. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this weekly chart and where I got my bias from. I used the weekly chart to kind of come up with my bias along with news I use on the trade exchange, which I'm going to do a separate video on. I'm going to review that. And I also use sweeps. I'm going to do a separate video on that. Today is just all about how to set up the cloud and how to draw the lines. And then there'll be a separate video on how to interpret them and so forth. But anyway, so I'm going to go into I always draw on the daily. This is a daily cloud right here. You can see right now I do not have pre-market on. When I draw lines, I do not like to have the pre-market on. Right now you can see we are actually trading below the cloud. Here's the bottom of the cloud, and we are trading below it. So in order to draw lines, I have to go to the most, to kind of where the closest cloud is to the left. So if I was trading up here, if we were in this section here, we would be using these levels here. But now since we penetrated through the cloud, I got to go all the way over here. So what I start with, I start myself drawing a line of roughly where we're trading at, and here is my area I need to go. So I zoom in over here, zoom to selected area, and this is kind of roughly where we're trading. And what I'm looking for is flat lines. These flat lines, remember what the cloud is compromised on, or compromised of. It's a whole bunch of moving averages that take all this information and they project a price into the future, depending on, right now I'm on a day chart. So it projects it out. And these flat lines, the longer a flat line is, the more support and resistance it offers. All these little breaks on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, I use as the market goes up as targets. These left-hand side of the clouds, I use it as when the market goes down. And sometimes it's a combination of both. So yellow lines I use for the left-hand side of the cloud. Blue lines I use for the right side of the cloud. So right now we're trading roughly about here. So I'm actually going to zoom in. I'm going to show you how I do this. So I basically start with my first big flat line, which is out of all of these is about 3. And it's kind of, it can't be perfect. Sometimes I try to get it perfect and really zoom in, spend time on it. But I'm trying to get this line right on this flat part because I could be off by, if you're off, you could be off by 50 cents and it makes a difference. So I start with this. And this is right now we're trading at 365. This is 377. So, that's probably not going to hit there today. But I'm going to leave it up there as a blue line. I'm probably going to just make it a green target. And the reason for that being is that if it goes up there to this flat line, I need to pay attention to it. It's still very far away, but it's so far away, it's most likely not going to be in play. And I'll use that first long flat line as my first starting point. Then I go in here in the high line and I start drawing my other lines. I'm first going to draw all my blue lines, and I start by looking for points. So here's one. Okay, roughly about right there. I'm trying to get it as good as I can. I can even zoom in more like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit that line and I'm going to set it as my default because I want it blue. And then I'm going to look for the next point, which is here. And then the next point, which is roughly there. Okay, here's another kind of long flat line. This 369, 89 is to pay attention to. And then my next blue line is there. And then my next one is roughly there based on that. See how I'm just hitting these points? And now look here. On this blue line, there's not many points here. The next one is there. That's a big gap. So, you know, as we're, if we were heading up, let's say the stock or the SPY drops down to this level right here. This, I don't know, we'll call it, let's see here, we'll call it, I can't get there because I'm zoomed in too far. But let's say it drops down to 352 and starts moving up, and it breaks above this 352 number. Then 355, you pay attention to. If it breaks through that, then we may get a quick run up to this 366 level because there's a big gap there. And that also depends on what the yellow lines do. But anyway, so here are my blue lines. I go back into the current daily chart. Here's what it looks like on a 5-minute chart right now. This is pre-market that I have up right now. So I'm actually drawing these lines in pre-market. I got to actually take that off. I didn't realize I was doing that. So let me do that real quick. It may not make a difference for today. Pre-post, never. Just want to, so let me go back to my lines here just to make sure that it didn't affect my lines. And it really didn't, so that's okay. Sometimes it does, just depending on how big the move is in pre-market. Actually, there's a blue line here, right there on that point. That's it. So here are my blue lines, and this is what it looks like on the 5-minute chart. Currently, you can see, you know, this 368.38 has been a lot of resistance right here. Then it traded down below it, and right here some more resistance, and then, you know, I could probably draw right here, drop down to 364, which is kind of where the low is. And I'm gonna add that line in red here shortly. It kind of does it automatically. I'm going to show you how that works. So let me go back into my daily here. There's no more blue lines here to the right. I'm going to draw, this is a okay, that's okay. So that's good because these, remember, these are to the upside. I'm going to use my yellow lines to the downside, which are here on the left. So I go into a different chart. Right here I have these drawing boards. So here I have this lined up over on this side. Now I go into my yellow lines. Again, I start with a line here, roughly right there. So I'm going to edit that. I'm going to make that a yellow color. Okay, I'm going to edit and make that save as default. And now I zoom in, and I'm going to use the left side of the cloud. Zoom to selected region. So now I'm going to look at levels on this side and where they are. So I look for points. So here's a point right there. You guys see that? So right there. And then another one there. And see how the longer the line is, the more typically the more the stronger the signal as support and resistance. If it's super tiny, it sometimes may have 1 or 2 candles and reverse for like 10, like maybe not that much, but it may sit there for a minute. But normally you get a little reversal, and I like to draw all of them just to kind of see where we are. And every time we're close to a yellow line, I sometimes zoom in on the daily chart to see how strong that signal may be. And if it's a long line like this, I may make this line just as a reminder to make it a little darker, and I can do it like that. Right now I don't need to because I'm just using this as just for show. But anyway, so let me finish drawing the rest of these lines. There's one kind of there, and these are way above our current price, and we're going to go into where we need to be currently. So right now we are trading right here around this level here. So I'm going to zoom in to this level today, right there. Boom. And I'm going to start drawing my lines accordingly. Okay, so here's a point right there. Here's another point. There's another point. And these are relatively small movements. So I expect we have to get through some stuff today. Okay, there's another one, and there's another one. So you just kind of cover all these little breaks in the cloud are all points of support and resistance in the past and projected in the future. And again, the longer the line, these are all relatively small. And you can see here, this is what I like to see. Okay, so let's say we break through 363.19. Then the next one is actually right here, 357.88 or somewhere around there. So I'm going to make this my red line. Because if we break through that with some volume, then I probably want to trade that. There's some space for it to drop from 363 to 357. You know, there is some space, meaning that there may be a trade. And again, if it breaks through 357, we can possibly drop down to this level here, 353, and there's one little one there. But you can see it's pretty smooth. There's no breaks, and if there's breaks, then there may be some support and resistance. So these are kind of my yellow lines. I want to make sure I did okay. So now this is what it looks like on the 5-minute chart on the yellow lines. Okay, and you can kind of see here how yesterday, look at this, how this 367.63 at it was perfect support, and then we hit the next yellow line 366.10, and we kind of went below it, but you can see how it kept hitting back up there, and then finally it broke, and it went down to the next yellow line 365.11, and we just kind of drew the cloud, so we didn't know it was doing this. And here you are, here's your support, and boom, you have some volume and you break through. And this one didn't trade back up, it traded right back down, but again, it hugged this 366.10 line. Finally it broke down, and look at this red line. Remember that red line we just drew? That was kind of the low, and I mean, we just used the cloud drawing back here in price action based on 2021 was the price action we used based on the cloud, and it's adhering perfectly today. That's the magic of the cloud, because what it does is it takes all those moving averages in the future or in the past and projects it in the future. History repeats itself. I think algos, you know, I have no proof of this, but algos use math. They use moving averages, and this is the best thing I've ever seen in terms of moving averages that everybody uses. It's an indicator that projects into the future, which most indicators are based on past history and don't project in the future. So now here's the interesting thing is I take the yellow lines I drew and I add the blue lines I drew, and this is on the daily, and it kind of looks like this, and you're like, oh my God, I can't read it. But then you go into your 5-minute chart, and here you have your 5-minute chart. You can see some places where the yellow and the blue match up, and sometimes this can get very cluttery in a cloud, and I may, if two lines match up, I may make it a different color line just so I'm aware that, hey, I need to pay attention to this level. But you can see the blue lines I kind of use to move up. So if we break through 368.38, then I would look for a next level of 369.89. And then the yellow lines I kind of use to the downside as of now. And that changes. I mean, you got to pay attention to both levels. But here, check this out. So let's go into today. So we've drawn our lines. Here we are. I drew these yesterday too, and they may be a little bit different from what I drew yesterday and posted on Twitter because we have gone through the overnight hour. I click on Edit Chart Properties. I turn on Pre-Market, and here we are. Here's Pre-Market. Okay, since 8 p.m. last night, you can see that this level here, this 369.19 was a level I was trying to pay attention to. You can kind of see it's acted as, you can see we traded up to the blue line. It never made it through this blue line. It acted as resistance. I actually took a trade. I think it traded up to 3.717 on ES, and then it traded down. And here we go. It started going down, and I think, no, last night I think I traded it last night. So somewhere around this level, where did I go? Oh, no, it was V up. Anyway, somewhere around this level, around 387, which I think was right around here, I traded this stock for a target, for this yellow target right here, which was at the time 365.11. 11, and maybe on Twitter, maybe it was a little bit different, but I was looking for a 10-point move and I got it. So anyway, here you can see the blue resistance. It didn't break through. Had this broken through on volume, I may have taken it long to look for kind of this level or this level. Now, if it breaks through 369.89, I will definitely take that trade long for a move to 372.47. My bias is definitely short because we're trading below the cloud, so the trend is down. Okay, as long as the trend is below the daily cloud, the trend is down, my bias is down. So any major uptick that we receive, I look to fade it. So we can see how these lines did. So here we are overnight, then all of a sudden around, I guess, 5:30 a.m. or so, we tested the 360.19 level. We actually broke right through that. So if you'd been awake, you may have looked to trade that to this yellow line. I don't know if there was really a trade here because there was only it was maybe a 10-point move between these two lines, and you probably would have had to wait to this white candle below this one. So it really was maybe only a 5-point move. But if, I don't know, maybe not. So, but anyway, here we are. Here we trade to this next level. Then we actually trade down to this 364.26. We bounced right off of that. We never made it down to this red line. If we trade to this red line, watch out below. I will definitely would take this short. It has to be on volume. I definitely want to see a few candles below it. But if it starts trading like right here to this level, this let's call it 362 level or something, to make sure that we're way below this red line and don't get a short covering bounce, there's a lot of room to the next level, guys. 357.88. I mean, that's, based on those earlier clout lines that we just drew, just by putting little lines on the points. And here you can see, again, we pop back up to this 365.11. Look at this support, that resistance. And this line becomes resistance, and this becomes support, and we're just trading back and forth. And here we are, right on these lines. And we just did it simply by drawing clout lines. So right now we're at 365.11. We just got to wait till price actions opens up to see where this is going to go. So I use these levels in conjunction with sweeps, on SPY. So the big money, I look at out of the money sweeps for stuff that expires today. SPY options expire today, Wednesday and Friday, and I use those to trade. I'm actually working. I know a lot of people ask, who do I use? Who do I use? Who do I use? I don't like saying it yet because I'm trying to work an affiliation deal with a guy to get us a discount, and I will make a referral fee on that. It's up to you. It's not that expensive, but there's so many out there right now. So, find your own. But at one point or another, I will reveal that, and I'm going to do another. Once I do that, I'm going to show you a video of as I'm trading. I'll do maybe a live trading video of where I use these lines along with sweeps to gauge direction and what I look for. I typically trade, on this account with you guys. I'm actually using a relatively small account, so I'm really trading MES more so, and I like MES because yes, the commissions are higher, but you're able to, like, for example, let's say it broke right through here and I wanted to take this trade right here because it broke through on volume. I mean, the volume wasn't there, but let's just say I took it and I thought, oh my God, we're going to test a low, and I took this trade. Well, I don't want to if I put all my money into this trade, and it goes against me, I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. But if I only, let's say I'm trading I don't know, a $20,000 account. Okay, and so I'm able to buy, let's say I'm able to buy 12 MES contracts with that type of margin. So I may go in and use a third of it. So I buy 4 contracts, and then if I get by 4 contracts here, then if I get confirmation below this yellow line, I may add and then take profit here. But let's say I bought the 4 here, and then all of a sudden it turned on me. It went back to that level. I'm still trading. This is 5-minute charts. So it's 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So I'm sitting in this trade for 40 minutes, and we're just compressing. So I'm hoping that we're going to compress to the downside. But, I'm drawing a line at that point at this level because if it goes above that, I'm most likely either going to have to take a loss, or I have to decide, well, this line up here may be the next support and we may draw down. That's something you have to decide for yourself, and that comes with experience. I would have probably waited for this line. It compressed again, traded back down, but right now it's just been back and forth between these two lines, and probably have to wait till the open to get one side of a direction. So I probably would have hold my trade right here, because I do think that at some point we are going to test these lows. But you have to be very careful in this market. Futures are very, you can lose a lot of money really fast. So you have to be very aware of the risk and all that. And by the way, I forgot to say, I'm not an investment guy. This is just for fun. This is for education. I always say, do not follow me. You hopefully you learn something from this, and you can utilize this in your own methods. I'm just letting you know how I do it and what I do, and maybe you can give me some feedback on how I can even improve. So anyway, right now we're back to this 366.19 level. So that's our line in the sand today, this 366.19 level. You can see there's both a blue line and a yellow line there. There's none anywhere else. So this is going to be the deciding factor. If we kind of break down below it on volume, then we can look for here. If we trade above it, then we could go up to right now, from what I'm looking at, looking back here, if we can get above this yellow line right here, this 369.39 is what I would use right now as my resistance level to the upside. But if we break through it, we could fill the gap. I would, right here above this blue line, I would probably take a long on volume. Then my first target would be here at this, what is that, 372.47 level. And then after that, this 375.06 level. And that's only going to happen on major short covering, I think. I think no one's really buying this market. My 2 cents are that the Fed does not know how long it's going to raise rates. This is the first environment I've seen where we are raising rates, where people are talking about recession, but yet most people are unemployed. Normally, a recession is with high unemployment. That's not happening this time. This is uncharted territory, at least for me. I don't know if any one of you have ever experienced this. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing and how low this can go. I'll show you something scary real quick. So this is the lines, and again, if once I these lines normally stay in place from day to day. If we trade above the green line here, I draw a new line. So we draw below the red line, or get below the red line here. Kind of drew some already, but I would draw new lines. In the meantime, I'm just trading, scalping back and forth between these lines. I look for big gaps. Big gaps are where you can make some good money. But, in a choppy environment, sometimes it's real tough. You think it's going to break. And that's why you have to sometimes wait for confirmation, or sometimes you just take a risk by sizing correctly. Instead of trading, your size may be 8 contracts, you trade 2. And then if you are confirmed, you add 2, that type of thing. So you can kind of see we're trying to break through this level here. And so we're coming out of this compression right here. So I think that we could probably test this 367.63 level, but I would want to wait 1 or 2 candles, and I would probably look to make sure that we don't reverse right here. So I would look for something above 366.58. I would maybe take a trade and try to see if I can get 10 points. I'm not doing it right now, but that's kind of how I would look at it. So I hope this video makes sense. It's used to replace some of my old ones. It's a little bit more current in how I've been using it. So yeah, if I would take this trade actually right here at 366.48. Let's see what that is on. I have to go on my phone actually. So hold on here. So that's 36.92. I would be careful. I don't know. I haven't looked on Trade Exchange yet if there's any reports coming out, so I forgot to do that. Normally I would. I wanted to get this video done and out so you guys have a chance to watch it. So without knowing what that news is, I don't want to take that trade because there may be a report at 8:30 and the market may reverse, and this may be a bump up in anticipation. I just don't know. But it's right now 360.92. If this holds in the next couple candles, I may take the long and look for 367.63, which from here, that's about 13 points, right? So, or 12 points. So, you would add, so you're looking at 3703 as kind of a target, somewhere around there. So we'll have to see if it pans out or not. But I won't know because I'm going to stop this video now, and then you can look back and see. Anyway, so I hope this makes sense. Please do me a favor. I'm trying to get as many people as possible to subscribe. Please subscribe. Please like it. Please give me a comment, feedback. This is definitely out of my comfort zone. I don't love doing these videos, but hopefully I get better over time and not ramble too much. I definitely have my ADD set in, which actually I think people that have ADD are great traders because they are able to laser focus on trading. So that's worked for me. Anyway, thank you so much. Again, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on Twitter. And my next video will go over my morning ritual, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on how I incorporate weekly lines and monthly lines. Oh, I forgot to show you the scary part. I'm sorry. See, that's part of ADD too. You start saying your mind thinks one thing and you go a completely different direction. So I want to go into, hold on here 1 second. I want to delete all these old lines. I'm going to use this 5 right here. So I want to go into a monthly chart. Okay, you can kind of see that it's been a while, not since 2020 that we have touched the monthly cloud. And that happens, if you look back over a time period, it doesn't happen very often. You know, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 times since really the last 20 years. All right, but right now we have this blue line, and I'm hoping that from a long perspective, you can see that we may bounce off of it, but I'm really watching this. I don't know, I guess I'll call it a 50-day moving average on the monthly. It's really irrelevant, but because of how it's been incorporated here, I'm waiting for this monthly to break through, which is really around 350 area. If it does, we can literally trade down to 390. I mean, we could go through the cloud, and you're looking at probably right here, 274. And then if you go into a daily chart, see how this break happens right here? This area right here, you have the chart coming up, then down, and this area right here, and that's when the chart's been going up, 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 and then finally we had to turn right here in the cloud. You know, you could really tell here where the cloud started turning downward, and we're now in a downward type of trend. So this 278 area, it used to be 270, so now it's 278.80. We can trade down to that. You know, if I was an analyst, and I'm not, you know, but if I was working for some firm, you know, how do these guys predict? You know, these people that get paid $300,000 at Smith Barney. I run circles around some of these guys. You know, I have a Morgan Stanley person I talk to all the time, and they go, "Yeah, our guys are saying this." I'm like, "They're wrong. This is not what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen." And she goes, "Oh my God, you were right every single time." But you know, it's. Maybe I should go get a job there. I mean, they use technical analysis. There's no any other way. They can look at all the macro pictures all they want. It's economics, you know. But how to convert what's happening from a macro into numbers is next to impossible. You have to use technical stuff because the market's really driven by institutional traders, and they use algorithms. They use you know, there's very few strong fundamental investors out there. You know, hedge funds obviously trade more on fundamentals, but I think they manipulate, and they use their information they do a lot of work. I give them credit. They do get a lot of work. They get to know the company. They talk to everybody. They are really able to project what's going on in terms of revenue and so forth. And that's why I stay away from stocks, because I think stocks, to me, can be manipulated. and SPY not as much. I mean, it can be, but not as much. So anyway, I do trade occasional options. I like trading out of the money options. I know that's against what Harry says and so forth, and he's right. But for me, I use them more as lotto plays, where if I'm up $1,000, I'm gonna take $1,000 gamble to hit 100% or 50%. Or I use out of money, and I look for sweeps in that particular stock, and then I use relative strength and relative weakness along with that. Anyway, that's the end of it because I don't want to make it too long. Again, thank you very much, and I'll try to get another one out there soon.